Welcome in to 11 Personnel, presented by Monticello Bank. I'm Nick Roush here in my radio station dungeon. It's a great backdrop. I'm sure you're flattered by it. You know what? Let's put a hat on. My head's a little too shiny. Mr. Luckett, how you doing today?
I was getting ready to say, what is that back there? Is it like paint cans? What's going on?
There's a lot of knobs or something. Those are actually peanut butter pretzels. So that's what fuels the Word Media Group.
Yeah,
Peanut butter pretzels.
AM radio. What's it run on? Not gas. It runs on peanut butter pretzels. Probably some coffee.
A little bit of kerosene,
Diet.
too.
I'm sure there's some Diet Mountain Dew in that building as well.
Oh, plenty of Diet Mountain Dew. We got the Keurig machine up and rolling, and we're rocking and rolling because that's what Kentucky football recruiting's doing. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about the Cats' latest commitments and what's coming up next and your typical shenanigans. But first, I do need to tell you about our good friends at Monticello Bank, proud presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel. Be smart, bank local. They've been in your local community for more than 125 years, serving the Commonwealth of Kentucky. They're in 20, they got 20 branches, 14 markets across the state. So go on, stop on in, or visit them at nbcbank.com. They got plenty of services, whether it's your business, you need a car loan, or maybe you want to open up a home equity line of credit. The HELOC special will put the equity in your home to work for home improvement projects, whatever it may be. Monticello Bank, they've got you covered. They're the best of the best. They've been with us for a while now. We're happy to partner with our friends at Monticello Bank. Monticello Bank, where people matter. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Luckett, since we last talked, is it 4 commitments now? 4 commitments? There's a lot happening. We had 3 in a row last week, 3 days in a row. We had 2 over the weekend, and then 2 more on back to back. Or is it? Are we? Did we get 4 straight days? Or I think there was a break in one. It's all starting to run together because there's more announcements coming up. It is officially commitment season, Mr. Luckett.
Yeah, we got a break on Monday, but we had a Saturday, a Sunday, a Tuesday, and a Wednesday.
Maybe a Friday?
Maybe a Thursday. Who knows?
It would be great, but also a little like you might see our hair a little on fire if there's a certain commitment that happens during the show. So you know what? Let's just lead off with that, right? Like, because I know people, they want to hear about the new commitments, but let's be real. The quarterbacks, they're the big draw. They're the headliners, and Kentucky, they're picking up even more momentum with Matt Ponatoski. This time a week ago, Adam Luckett had RPM prediction in for him to land with the Wildcats. He spent his weekend in Oregon. He called it a perfect official visit. He had very glowing reviews of his time with Will Stein and Dan Lanning and Eugene, and it caused a little bit of apprehension, but Bryson Beavers, Beaver, the Beaver?
Yes. Singular, not plural.
Well, we're in Kentucky. He's the Beavers. The Beavers is going to Oregon. He's going to be a Duck. And that ultimately, I think, was a big domino that led Steve Wiltfong to join you, Luckett, in placing an RPM prediction for the Cats to land Matt Ponatoski, top 100 player in the 2026 recruiting class. Luckett, I don't know how you're feeling right now. Is it because you can't really take the victory lap yet, but when Steve Wiltfong joins in on one of your RPM picks, it always feels good.
Yeah, definitely some nice confirmation, right? Like, oh, I've got the heavy is on my side right now.
Yeah.
I feel good. I feel, again, this whole Ponatoski recruitment, Nick, to me it's always been like, am I not the only one over here? Am I seeing the ball correctly? Like, it's very much me. Like, are you is this? Why am I alone here? It feels like some more people should be on this island with me. But yeah, I feel like all signs are pointing to Kentucky. The reason I made that prediction when I did was when you have an unexpected visit, like the one that happened before a big official visit weekend, Nick, that they happen for a reason.
Yeah, that's the case for another player we're going to talk about later.
So that happened, and you start to hear some buzz for Kentucky. That's where I felt really. I was going to be surprised if like that visit to me almost was kind of a buffer. It was a visit made to give them some more a buffer zone. As I pointed out on KS Board, I don't think there's ever been a recruit to go to Phil Knight's college football program and ever not be blown away.
Yeah,
That official visit.
There's no better official visit place in the country, and I still remember talking with Terry Wilson about it. Once he got to Kentucky, and he's like, "Yeah, you fall in love when you go out there and you see that place." But that, I mean, now they got Dan Lanning recruiting there too. Like, I mean, yeah, they should be pretty good at getting players excited to play for the Ducks out of one of those official visits.
Yeah, but it's a long way from Ohio for a Ohio quarterback.
Yes.
To go play college football, and for Ohio shortstop to go play college baseball. So I think that I'm not saying that was NLBO, but that was worth a consideration standpoint. And I think Oregon's like they were in a crunch here because they took a big swing at Jared Curtis, was like I think maybe number one quarterback.
Number one player overall.
Yeah.
On 3.
Yeah. Georgia, he committed from Georgia. It was a whole, like his recruitment was crazy. He's going to Georgia. And so they missed on him. I believe they missed on another guy. So they were kind of we got to take one. And it always felt like Bryson Beaver was just waiting for the green light from them to commit. And he finally got it. And so that makes you feel good about where Kentucky stands. I think Kentucky's done a pretty good job recruiting him. The baseball pool has helped. Being in the SEC is helping a lot, I believe, here. And then, obviously the SEC money. You got to have to make the money right. And that's going to be kind of a conversation later when we get like towards this time next year.
Right.
When it comes to MLB draft time, like what is the financial component here? Is it enough to where he was willing to commit to doing this football thing and being a quarterback? And all that comes with it. But he's a guy, Nick, I think will be like, to me, will be one of the best prospects they would have signed in the Mark Stoops era. Like he's the real deal. Go watch the tape.
Yeah.
Go if you know anybody who's watched high school football in Cincinnati, just go ask him. Just go ask him.
Yeah. Yeah.
This kid is like, he's legit. He's a legit quarterback, legit prospect, and might just be scratching at the surface.
It's certainly exciting, but it is not in the barn just yet. There is no official decision date. However, he did tell Scoop Duck, our On3 Oregon affiliate, which Scoop Duck, great name for an Oregon website. Like the Rivals Network has joined the team, so we're getting all of the different alliterative names for all these team sites. Can't get enough of them. They're a lot of fun. I believe the Oregon State one is Beaver Blitz, which is just outstanding. But he told Scoop Duck that he's actually at a baseball tournament right now. So he finished up all of his football stuff, and now he's spending the week in Georgia. And he said, we're going to be talking about each team every night while we're down there. And then whenever we get to the end of the he doesn't want to commit while he's at a baseball tournament. So that our internet sleuths at KS Board have said that could go through Sunday. So
I have enjoyed that. I have enjoyed, which is like finding an AAU baseball tournament in Georgia on the last weekend in June. Like, how many of those are there? Right? There's probably 12 in Atlanta alone.
Right.
So like, just even finding that that's been fun.
Yeah.
Fun activity.
So we might still be waiting out until the start of next week, but it is on the horizon, and Kentucky is in a great spot for it. It's exciting. Hopefully we get that news before we record 11 personnel next week. As for the rest of the class, actually, hold up. While we're on Internet Sleuths, let's have a little fun before we get into the rest of the meat and potatoes recruiting, because we've got a lot of meat and taters to get to. But I got to shout out our friends at Auburn Live, the On3 message board, because somebody noted that Hugh Freeze has been golfing a lot. So the folks at al.com, did they say al.com or is it al?
al.com.
Okay. I kind of like thinking of it as just Al's website. There's just some guy named Al who's got all
Well,
the journalists working for him.
isn't that the mascot? Alabama's mascot name Al?
I know the alligator at Florida is Albert.
Yeah.
It would make sense if Al was the
I
name
think
of
it's
the
Big
elephant.
Al. I'm pretty sure his name's
Big
Big
Al.
Al.
Big Al. There we go. Yeah. Well, Big Al, he's got all these journalists running around. And so they were like, well, let's see if we can figure out how much Hugh Freeze has actually been golfing. So they went to the USGA's GHIN website, the Golf Handicap Index Network, I think is what it's called. Because
Yeah.
if you want a handicap, you just log your scores on there at the course, and it'll help calculate your handicap. And they found that Freeze had been golfing a lot, 10 times in the first 20 days of June. And so that stirred up a big stink. What I loved about it is they didn't stop there. They were like, well, how much are the rest of the SEC coaches golfing? Shane Beamer, he hit the course a couple times in June. Mark Stoops, 0 rounds in June. Motivated Mark Stoops. He ain't got time for that. All right.
Now, this is just if they're entering for their handicap, though, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so we don't, they might not, who's to say Hugh's not playing every day?
Well, that's true. I do think at least in Stoops' case, I mean, he was putting in 9-hole rounds. He was logging those too. So I would think that if you're logging your 9-hole rounds, you're just logging every round.
Yeah, the thing about the handicap is it's really important if you're in a country club and if you're going to play in
those events. You need to have one so they can
club. Yes.
Yeah, so they can adjust your scores.
I heard there was I heard at Woodhaven's member guest there was a whole stink of one because someone was fudging his handicap this past weekend. So it is really important that you are, that you're an honest Abe here with a handicap and that you do. So if you're playing, I guess if you're in a club, it's really important. Now, if you're just a regular golfer like I am, played 10 times a year, I'm not out there digging into my handicap. But I guess if you're playing a lot, it's something you have to do.
Is a 16.8. So, I guess that's, you at least have one. I feel like if I played regularly, I'd probably be in that neck of the woods, I guess. But 9 rounds in May. He broke 90 with an 89, which that's a good round. He's an LCC guy though. Luckett, have you ever been able to sniff the grounds at Lexington Country Club? Because I've not been invited to
Where is that? I don't even know where that is.
It's Pears Pike. So you go right past the interstate there, 75, and it's right on your right side. Mark Pope lives right across from it. I think he's a 5-iron to the course. He's not technically on the grounds. I don't think they have a neighborhood on the grounds, but here it's a nice place. I want to say the oldest country club in town. But this is funny, Luckett, because I remember somebody on our board was like, is Stoops playing golf on a game day? Because he had a tee time reserved for a Saturday morning. I imagine
I've heard that.
Yeah, that he was reserving it for a family member or somebody who knew who was in town that wanted to play LCC. I highly doubt he was getting it around on a Saturday morning before a game.
If I was, the thing is, if it's a 7:30 game and it's like an 8 o'clock tee time, you probably have time.
Yeah,
maybe not to play 18, but you definitely got time to play 9.
Right, if you wanted to, but Hugh Freeze, he does that. I don't know about Mark Stoops. Which I love that this all originated from Auburn because that fan base, this is their wheelhouse, man. The coach he's been recruiting well, but the results haven't came, and we're waiting for the results. He better have them, damn it, in year 3. But now the recruiting's slacking off. Let's see how much this guy's golfing. So I couldn't get enough of this story. I was absolutely eating it up. But I know you're not here to hear about SEC coaches golfing. You want to hear about some Kentucky football recruiting.
Do you think he will be asked about that in Atlanta?
Yeah, he's got to, right? He was I found it ironic too because they have that golf tournament in Birmingham.
The Regions, yes.
Yeah, and he was getting interviewed. McElroy and Kublik, they interview all those guys.
Yeah, Feynman goes to it every year. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a big ordeal, and I find it funny that he got criticized for his comments at the golf tournament. Now he's getting criticized for golfing. So he can't do anything right.
No. No.
Oh man, Auburn.
Did you think Mark Stoops in his no headline mantra thought KSR was going to have a headline about his golf game this year. Do you think that ever crossed his mind? That I can't put scores in this USGA site because KSR is going to write about it.
My favorite part too is, my headline was Mark Stoops is too motivated to golf, and all the Vols and the Cardinal birds out there, the bird heads, they don't get the bit, they don't get the joke, and their replies to the tweets have made that abundantly clear.
Well, sometimes that's good though, because we can get in our little echo chambers.
Yeah.
So it's good to know this isn't the motivated Mark Stoops thing. I would say the last couple of weeks has been just overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
But it's not in Louisville Twitter.
Yeah, but it's good to know other people have no idea what we're talking about.
It's like whenever we ask Stoops how motivated he is at media days, all Big Blue Nation's going to be laughing their asses off, but everybody else is like, what a dumbass question by those Kentucky hacks. What kind of question is that?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. All right, let's get to some Kentucky football recruiting talk. It's the good stuff, just like our friends at Roback. They got the good stuff, the best gear in the business. If you want to hit the golf course and put in your handicap this year, make sure you're doing it in Roback gear. That's RHOBACK.com. Polos, the shirts, the hats. They'll make sure you're geared up on the golf course. They also got attire for the ladies, too, with the golf skirts, the little, I guess the sleeveless golf shirts. Nice stuff out there at Roback. And when you put in promo code KSR, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase at Roback.com. So don't wait. Gear up today. Make sure you're looking good, feeling good on the golf course by rocking your Roback gear this summer. All right, Luckett. Let's hit through the Rolodex. I guess we'll start first with the tight end, Lincoln Watkins. That was a Saturday night special, and boy, was I thrilled because we get these.
I understand what you're going through, but I don't think most people listening will. But I totally get it.
Because, we have days on the weekends in the summer where it's like, all right, the website's yours. Go for it. And typically you plan out some of it in advance, but you can only plan out so much of it in advance. You kind of need some news to kind of help get a baseball commit or something like that, right? To keep the wheels turning. And it's...
Yeah, my go-to is the golf. We're just right about who's winning the golf tournament that weekend.
Yeah, you pull some... I'll do some horse racing. Why the hell not? Shout out to Stephen Foster this Saturday. Going to be a great race Saturday evening at Churchill Downs. But I get to a point where I'm at the in-laws in Ohio. There's some party we're going to here in a couple hours, and I'm like, I need one more. Can you give me something? Please, because I'm tapped out. My brain, it's shot. Give me one more thing. And as we're kind of gearing up to get ready to go to this get-together, it's like, boom, Lincoln Watkins commit. So that was a godsend from an impressive athlete who officially visited Florida. And I don't have to be a big tape guy in this instance, but I just love when Kentucky's still getting guys from Michigan because those guys have been great from the program. Starting back with DeAndre Square, who was a multi-year starter, who is kind of underranked from Cass Tech. You got Marquand McCall. Justin Rogers was a big recruiting get. Then even more recently, Deion Walker and Maxwell Harrison as draft prospects. So continue to get the Michigan guys because, obviously not all of them turn into that, but the hit rate is good. I'd say over 60%. And not only are they becoming starters, they're becoming star players. And look at the athletic traits I think are there for Lincoln Watkins to be a high-quality tight end in this offense.
Yeah, this isn't even counting DeAndre Square and Marquand McCall, but Kentucky is signed, or this will be their eighth, if he signs, signee in the last 7 high school recruiting cycles from Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
2 all-SEC players in draft picks with Maxwell Harrison, Deion Walker. 3 4-star additions and 5 players who started games for Kentucky. And 2 of those players are still with the program. It's like Darren Stry, who's in his first year, and then 1 more who I'd have to pull up, so who might end up becoming a starter. So, hit rate's been pretty good. I think you look at Lincoln Watkins, that's a really good rep. I pulled that in the film room right there on that go ball. Just flex tight end, I would say, who has a chance to grow into something and has a frame to really add some weight to maybe turn into a guy who can play more in line, but a seam stretcher, a guy who can win on crossers. He's very much a receiving, I would say, kind of threat right now for Kentucky. So that's intriguing to me after they added Mikael Skinner, who's very much it might as well be.
Yeah.
Well, to me, he's like might as well be an X receiver.
Right.
And then how they use him in the tight end kind of, I'm interested to see. So that's back to back kind of, I would say, flex first tight ends they've added, and that hasn't always been the case. A lot of these guys they've added recently are very much, I would say, inline tight ends first. And so now they're getting some guys that are more flex, and we'll see what they can do with them.
Yeah, and you saw some of the highlights earlier. I was like, okay, well, how can this guy block? And his blocking highlights are just that. It's him split out, blocking a cornerback or in the open field, or in kickoff return. And there was one where he got 2 pancakes in 1 kickoff return. So at least it's clear he's not hesitating to be able to lower his shoulder and knock some guys back. But that's a skill that has to be developed. Nevertheless, a nice add. You got to have at least, it's kind of like quarterback for me. Like I feel like you got to have 1 tight end, 1 running back, 1 in each in every class. And this one, the new guy. There you go, Derek Shea. It was a nice little recruiting win. Beating out Florida, tip of the cap. Tip of the cap. A solid start for the new tight ends coach, Derek Shea. The one that Watkins was at least on our radar. I was prepared and sort of ready, just didn't know when that kid might pop. But one who was completely off my radar was Isaiah McMillan, who committed on Sunday. And I remember the visit, but it was a while ago. And I just this one seemingly came out of the blue for me, Mr. Luckett.
Yeah, I do wonder, like with him, like Kentucky's supposed to get Jaden Terry on campus. We don't know if that visit ever happened.
Yeah, Justin Rowland reported it to not.
So if he didn't get on campus, that might have been just all right. Let's go ahead and take McMillan. But you also heard like JT Barlow canceled his visit, ends up committing to Memphis, and so they take McMillan here. Nick, I love this kid's tape. I think Kentucky found something here. Size-wise, I'm not sure. We list him at 6 foot, 170. I'm not sure how big he is, but long arms. Makes plays on the football, makes plays in the air, shows good instincts, has a really good tackling profile right now, specifically for being maybe kind of a smaller cornerback. And he did a lot of off-coverage stuff at KD High School, which is what Kentucky's going to ask him to look comfortable doing that. So I really like that addition. I thought that was a really good get, and it's again our Iowa defensive back principle.
Yeah,
if Iowa's spending money to host a defensive back on an official visit, odds are high that that defensive back is a good football player. And we're 2 for 2 on that principle so far in this class. Messiah Tilson and Isaiah McMillan are 2 of my favorite. McMillan, I guess we'll find out how you pronounce it, but those 2 are my favorite players in the class to this point.
I just now realized there's a second I in his last name. So,
yeah. Well, yeah, I noticed that too because I was spelling it wrong and then I couldn't find him in the database. I'm like, what's going on here?
I think the other part you mentioned KD High School. That was enough to even get Freddie Maggard's radar up. He was like, wait, they got a kid from Katy like that. They know how to coach him up there. That's a perennial powerhouse program in the state of Texas, which gets us, I guess, to our next guy, Ben Duncombe, Austin Lake Travis. Ever heard of it? It was just and that's the problem. I just forget how many good guys went to that school because I just assumed like all of those quarterbacks were from there. Was Baker Mayfield a Lake Travis guy? Or Colt
Yes.
McCoy was too, right?
Yeah, yes, I believe they both were. I believe Drew Brees was too.
Yeah, so pretty.
Or Drew Brees was Westlake, which is like their big rival. Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. Just give me a second here.
Okay, while you're doing that, let's watch Ben Duncombe get after the quarterback. Nice little strip sack from the nose position. 6'5", 255. He's got a really big frame, but you can see that like he I don't want to say he looks like a basketball player, but he's going to gain some weight, which makes him ideal as a 3-4 defensive end in Kentucky scheme.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield, obviously. Dicker, the kicker.
Oh.
Garrett Wilson, wide receiver.
Pretty
played at
good.
Lake Travis. Hudson Card, who was at Texas and Purdue,
Mm-hmm.
quarterback Reese. Todd Reesing, who was a Kansas quarterback back when they had that
Yeah,
2007
Mangino.
season. Yeah. And so those are just a few of them there. And then Westlake is kind of the I think they were maybe a little more established before Lake Travis, but Lake Travis it's only been around since 1981. So it's kind of a newer high school there. For Ben Duncan, I
Uh-oh.
believe
No, I think you're good.
could be there. Kate
Yeah.
Klubnik went to Lake Travis too, I
There you
believe.
go.
And then for Duncombe Nick, he's very much, I think, a schematic fit for Kentucky. 3-4 defensive end, can play 4-eye, and then can slide inside and play some other techniques for you. 6'5", 250, discus thrower on his track team. Moves well for the position. I think you look at his frame. I see a frame that it's going to be able to add 20, 25 pounds when he hits the training table in the Kentucky strength program. And you just see some raw power here. And I would classify him as a run first defensive lineman. I think he can bring you some value as a run stuffer. I don't think he's ever going to be a edge bender pass rusher, but an interior player who can set hard edges and can help you stuff the run. I think that's going to be his role here.
Yeah, and this is it's not only just Kentucky recruiting Texas. He's the third commitment from the Lone Star State. But you beat out Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Wisconsin, the latter two of which good players in the trenches, especially Whiskey, right? Like the Watt brothers, they carry a little bit of weight playing there. So Ben Duncombe, like him, he's maybe not the only defensive lineman that Kentucky's targeting in the near future. But I want to move on now to Dallas Dickerson, the speedy wide receiver who committed on Wednesday. And Luckett, this goes back to what you alluded to earlier about Ponatoski, where when they're making a change in visit plans, it's usually for a reason. And in Dickerson's case, he was scheduled to take an OV to Florida, ended up canceling that and making the trip to Lexington a week earlier, and that ultimately paid dividends when he made his decision on Wednesday. Had a lot of great things to say about LD Washington, which I thought were enlightening, were really telling, because, we still don't know a lot about the guy, but few first-year coaches, positional coaches, have come in and hit the ground running on the recruiting trail as hard as he has. And the way that I think the word he used was transparent. Like his character comes through when he's on the phone, when he's texting, when he's messaging these guys. So I thought that was a good way to learn about how this guy has been successful, because this is a very nice win. It's hard to tell a ton about maybe some of the other guys, but this is a guy who plays for a big time program and posts some crazy speed numbers. This dude's a burner, like it, an absolute burner.
Just from like a recruiting narrative lens, Kentucky was in on this guy early, along with Kansas State, Indiana, a couple more. Oklahoma enters the chat, gets official visit scheduled. Florida enters the chat. Those two were seen like, okay, he's going to one of those. And it seemed like Florida maybe got some higher ranked targets and kind of backed out of this. But it looked Oklahoma wanted this guy and went after him. Mm-hmm. So it was looking like it was kind of trending away for Kentucky, but they were able to make a kind of a late push there, got him on campus, wrapped it up. And Nick, this guy is he's one of the fastest players in this class. Mm-hmm. Like 10, I believe it was like a 10.5, 100 meter. 10.36, 100 meter. Yeah. Like we're talking like 4.3 speed.
Yeah.
With him. And it's not like he is not a jitterbug. This guy's 6'1", already 180 pounds.
Yeah.
Like he might get close to 200 pounds during his time here at Kentucky, and he can absolutely go. And when you watch him, when he gets in a long stride, it's, Keith Jackson voice, goodbye. He's gone. He's running away from guys. But I think also I like some of the change of speed he has, some of the change of direction he has, and some of his ability to run the football and play through some contact on tape. So there's a lot to like there. But right away, he's going to be he's going to bring something tangible to the field as soon as he shows up, because he's going to be a vertical seam stretcher, field stretcher. He can go deep, and if you got a quarterback that can get him the ball, he's got a chance to really get open here. He's an absolute burner, and so this was I think, a fun get here for Kentucky. What he could potentially become, but he's got the speed. But I think the size profile with the speed is really exciting.
Yeah, it's
Simply
not just
gets in the weight room, add some weight and add some pounds, add some muscle with that type of speed. And with some of I think it's not just straight line. I think you see some change of direction with him, which is important when you're talking about developing as a receiver.
Yeah, and to your point, this isn't, no offense to those guys, but it's not like Jordan Anthony, Brandon White. They've got track speed. Like there's more to it. He plays at North Oconee, who had never won a state championship. He transfers
new high
there.
school. Yeah,
they go undefeated, win the state championship down there, and that was the highlights you saw earlier. Was from that game. A real kind of just got to grind it out. I think they won 14-7 there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but nevertheless, an exciting ad, especially if you compare him with a prolific quarterback, which we alluded to earlier. We talked a lot about Matt Ponatoski in the first segment, but we got some more players that he might not be the only player who could be committing in the near future. We're going to preview some of those upcoming decisions because there's going to be a lot between now and the next time we talk to you ahead of that 4th of July period. But first, I want to tell you about our friend Andy Luckett at My Perfect Franchise, where you might be stuck in a rut. You might be sweating it out somewhere thinking like, all right, I'm tired of this BS. Let me do something different with my professional career. Let me see what I can get into. The franchise world is a good way to dip your toe in. Be a small business owner. Andy is a franchise consultant who's going to talk with you about your passions, your financial needs, what you're capable of to fit you with the best franchising opportunities possible at myperfectfranchise.net. You can email him at andy@myperfectfranchise.net or call him at 404-973-9901 to set up your appointment today. Have a little chat about the world of franchising opportunities with Andy Luckett at My Perfect Franchise. Look at, as we're sitting here today, there's no schedule commitment for Thursday, but on Friday, the Cats could be making some more hay in the state of Georgia with Tyreek Jemison, who I believe when we talked last week, and I think I asked you who was the guy that you wanted to commit that would make the biggest impact. It was Tyreek Jemison. So how are we feeling ahead of his decision?
I think it looks like Kentucky's in the driver's seat heading into the announcement. In this, he's been one of their top guard prospects. I think him and Deron Parks were kind of 1 and 1A guard targets here. And so you're about to land the guy they wanted. And to me, Nick, like you kind of look at him, he's very much a Kentucky guard. Plays tackle on his high school team. Yeah. 6'5", 6'6", 300-plus pounds, and is kind of a road grader. Like I think he fits what Kentucky wants at guard, and I think it would be a really good recruiting win. He's got Ole Miss was in on him, Georgia Tech. Most people on here know how I feel about Georgia Tech head coach Britt Key. I think he's doing good. He knows what he's doing,
especially when it comes to offensive line talent.
And they kind of have. They want to run the ball. You can go hook up that GIF, and then North Carolina schools. Bill Belichick's fighting Tar Heels, NC State. All of them are in on him too, and so I think it'll be a really good recruiting win here for Kentucky. And you plug him in kind of as one of the future guards, potentially be a multi-year starter for you. I think he fits what they want to do, which is kind of a downhill run game, and that's his game. I think if you're asking this kid to come in and do wide zone, maybe that's not what you want, but they're not going to ask. They're going to ask him to move people at the point of attack, and he's really good at that right now.
I like when I turn on the tape and I see guys firing out of their stance to get to the second level when the play is going to the other side and get their hands on a linebacker, showing a little athleticism. That should translate well to playing in the interior of the offensive line in the SEC, where things happen quick down there. They happen really quick down there. We're expecting to hear news on that at some point Friday afternoon, Friday evening, so keep your head on a swivel. The weekend slate, I don't believe we have one on Saturday, but Garrett Witherington is a defensive lineman who's supposed to be committing on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. Saturday, Sunday, something like that. I think we're tentatively planning on Sunday, but he officially visited Mississippi State. I want to say Penn State was involved here as well. But it feels like Mississippi
Georgia
State.
Tech, Stanford, yeah. Vanderbilt was involved. Yeah, this is a Birmingham kid, defensive lineman. If you're on KSR Plus, you know this. But I submitted a pick for Kentucky here.
Oh,
sounds like the Cats have wrapped this up. So this should be a win here. We're projecting this to be a win at least.
Wow.
It'll be another defensive lineman.
Well, it's like CNN. The projection's in. It's a stone cold lock. CNN's never proven you wrong. There's no fake news there. No fake news here.
I need a big board like Kornacki. We could just have a recruiting big board here. Maybe the good folks at On Three will write that expense check for me, so we can have instead of this bookshelf back middle of this bookshelf, we can just put a Luckett's touch board.
I'm just gonna be twisting knobs back here. God knows what they'll do. Man, I wonder what that guy's like. Like, because he's affable enough to be on TV, but is he a type A, or is he the numbers nerd that's quiet and likes to be in front of? I can't tell.
Him on Sunday Night Football when the playoff stuff's going on, I love it. And they got to bring him out for the NBA when they start doing that too. When it gets close.
Yeah. Even though half the NBA gets in the playoffs still.
Instead of like there's a lot of opinions about certain draft coverage. Really both drafts, I think you could say. People weren't too happy with how those went. I've never heard anyone complain about Kornacki up there just spitting out numbers, telling them what's going to happen with playoff, calculator. And so that is the good stuff.
When he starts doing his horse racing stuff and giving
even on the horse racing, yeah.
That's when I'm a little bit like, all right, I see some numbers on the board. You're giving too many numbers for me.
Yeah, but like you're real into it. Like if you're just turning it on and just like I don't know who to bet on, and Kornacki's like 62% chance hit rate on blah blah blah, you're like hell yeah, I'm riding this. And he looks the part. He looks the part for a touchscreen guy. Spitting out numbers. Yes.
The khakis tucked in, the shirt tucked in. How his shirt stays as tucked in as it does. Like it's never, for as much as he's flailing his arms, that shirt stays super duper tucked in. So I don't know how he does it. Couple other decisions we'll be monitoring next week. Andre Clark is it the 30th? I want to say that.
Yes, June 30th.
Yeah. That one's Michigan or Kentucky. Kind of leading Michigan there. What other decisions we got coming up next week? Because I don't have them in front of my face.
While we were on the air here, Adam Balagoon Ali, one of their top linebacker targets, is announced. Kentucky meets the finalists. Or with Missouri, Auburn, Kentucky are the three in the last cut. He's announcing on July 6th. So we got a while till that one. Orlando receiver Larry Miles is announcing July 1st. Sounds like Kentucky's kind of out of that race. It's going to be I think Nebraska is a favorite. Pitt's also in that. Right now, it looks like Kentucky's kind of done at wide receiver. I still think they could, in season, revisit the position. So that's another one coming down. And Jack Fuchs, still don't know when's around. I know that FUCHS. I know there's.
Fuchs. We'll go Fuchs.
Jack Fuchs.
Did you ever watch Barry on HBO?
I did not.
See, Fuchs was he was one of the main characters in it. So I don't know if it was spelled the same, but great show. It got too dark for me though. I loved the first season. Second season was good. Season 3, I was just like, I don't know if I can keep doing this.
Yeah. So, well, he's they're probably their top tackle prospect on the board. We're expecting an announcement soon. I think Kentucky's got a real shot there. And so we'll see how that transpires. Greater Nashville native. I believe his dad's like on the Titan staff.
Huh. Nice. So tighten up. Hey, how about
why not?
Look at you, Mr. Luckett. Your football team has a stadium to play in. Good job. The poor little old kitty cats, I thought they were going to have to pack up and move to northern Kentucky. We would have welcomed them on this side of the river, but They actually got a football stadium to play in, so I'm sure you're proud.
Yeah, that was much. That was much to. I'm not much. It felt like a big stink when we all knew what the final result was going to be on that. On a stadium lease. I don't think they were ever leaving. Like I would have been shocked if they ever left downtown. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I mean you kind of have to, but you know how cheap they are. They're gonna use as much leverage as they can to not spend a dime. My favorite part of the release is that so they're gonna put lipstick on a pig on the hog and renovate the place, which is smart. You don't need to rebuild a new stadium every 20 years. That's stupid. But it said that it's going to be 470 million. I want to say was the number, and then they said the Bengals will be covering 75%, and spending 175 million on the stadium upgrades. Look at, I'm not Johnny Math over here. You're more of a numbers guy. But 175 is not 75% of 460. It just the numbers weren't lining up for me.
I'm glad you can. Some people would just assume that's right. Just roll with it. No, I'm glad you can use. You have enough reasoning there in your brain where you can figure out that this doesn't pass the smell test.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they were able to put those numbers together, but you know what? Good for them. Maybe they can afford to pay their first round draft pick. Maybe. I'm more worried about the other defensive end, paying him first. I bet you're worried about the Aaron Rodgers retirement tour because last year he's leaving it all out, leaving it all on the line.
I just don't know how people are going to stop this statue quarterback in the pocket.
Because he can sing it. He can put the ball anywhere.
How are people gonna?
I mean, you got two players who are holding out. You got two defensive ends. It's 11-on-9.
Wide zone offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, who wants to play action teams to death, and Aaron Rodgers at this stage. Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna get along just great.
It's gonna work out perfectly.
I'm sure there's not gonna be any issues between those two.
Oh man. Well. I think we've addressed all the issues we want to on this edition of 11 Personnel. Luckett, you got anything else you want to get to?
No, I just think it's been a big week here. Kentucky's they're about to wrap it up, get some more commitments. And then, like I said last week, we're very much shifting here into preseason mode. Nick, it's Phil Steele season.
Oh, nice.
Adam Luckett's Bible is here.
The one the experts can't do without.
Yeah, me. I'm the expert. I can't do without this thing. So whenever I get this, it's like I tell my wife every year, every time I buy this. All right, it's officially football season now.
Here we go. It's here.
We'll be in. I have to keep thinking like where we're going to be. Well, I keep wanting to say Hoover, but we're going to be in Atlanta here in a few weeks. The College Football Hall of Fame.
Oh,
Phil Steele means
you haven't done the Hall of Fame too. It's pretty sweet.
No, first time. So
we'll get Peak. We'll have you run around with Peak, and you all can just football out when looking at all this stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm very excited to get down there, and that's always like the unofficial kickoff for the season. So we're about to have real like this year football talk.
It's exciting times.
So get ready.
Times around here. Get ready or be ready, as Jacob Polachek might say. He's Adam Luckett. I'm Nick Roush. This has been 11 Personnel.